Welcome to episode number...
No, we knew this.
22?
22, I believe, because we're professional. We're getting on top of it. But we're getting them done for you. We're getting them out there, putting out product.
Guys, I am not only sitting next to Mance Warner, I'm sitting next to
your hubby,
the brand new GCW World Champion.
I told y'all, should I show him?
Yeah, show him. Get it out. Let's go.
Right here. Look at it. Can you see it?
World Champion.
World Heavyweight Champion.
World Heavyweight Champion.
Should I do one that poses and you could do the little picture deal?
Yeah, pose.
Look at me. I'm going to hold this the whole episode that we shoot here.
Yeah, okay, hold it. So, how does it feel, champ?
It feels amazing. But I knew I was going to win it because I said I was going to do it. And it was just whenever I chose to take it.
You know what's so funny is we were talking earlier this week and we actually had a couple of episodes lined up for That's Cooked, ready to go. And then we were like, hold on, you're doing a bunch of other media for other, like a whole bunch of other websites and dirt sheets have hit you up wanting to interview you. Why don't we do our own podcast? We do everyone else's podcasts. Why don't we put this content on our podcast too? So here we are.
Give me a kiss, baby. Give me another one.
Do you like my lipstick?
Give me a little more.
Yeah,
as Steph was saying, as soon as I win the title, everyone loses their mind. There's dirt sheets talking about it, as they should.
That's like the most in my career at GCW, that was the most I'd ever seen like online traction about something that happened at GCW in recent times. Like when Matt and I did the Ghostbusters car, that popped off, but this feels like a different level.
Well, for me, so I've been back there. I've been at GCW since it started for the most part, but then I left because one of the bookers back then I didn't see eye to eye with, so I went elsewhere. And I won a title at Combat Zone. And then when I won it too, I came back to GCW because I'm stubborn, baby. I don't take no shit. As soon as I feel like someone don't have the same vision, it's like we've talked about before, we know who we are.
Well, I think it's one of those things too where, you know, for someone like Matt Cardona to be in GCW and do well is one thing because like he's literally Zack Ryder. So it's like for someone like him to do monumental stuff and to be in the headlines all the time is like he spent like 15 years in WWE. Like he started when he was 18. He's been doing this for over 20 years. So it's almost expected that, you know, they're going to win the world title wherever they go. You know what I mean? But I feel like with you've had this kind of like breakout 6 months where, I don't know, I feel like you've gotten so many new fans and so many people are all of a sudden jumping on like the Mance Warner train. And a lot of people don't know is that you didn't just start. Like you've been at this for a minute and you've been like working really hard kind of I don't want to say in the background, but like you've been a very consistent player.
They almost get used to you.
Yeah. And also like, I don't know, I feel like a company giving someone the world championship, I don't know, I feel like if it's a bullshit company, sure. But if we're talking about a prestigious company, you know, not just anyone becomes WWE World Heavyweight Champion. Not everyone wins a world title in AEW. Not everyone is going to win the world title in TNA. Like, I feel like when you look at the top wrestling companies, it's, you know, you're in good company if you're winning the world title. And I think now that you have the belt, it just kind of solidifies like, yeah, motherfucker, like, I think I'm great, but this company like knows that if they invest in me, it's a return investment. And I think that is like a very cool spot to be in.
Well, you're the backbone of the company. The company's on your back now. And I think that's, for me, being the way that I am, I've always known when I went to GCW, I'm going to be the world champion here. I'm not here to make friends. I'm not here to just say I'm one of the outlaws. And like I've said in things before, we were the last outlaws, but I don't see a lot of outlaws left. So it's that thing of, you look at who's had this title before. Nick Gage had it forever. He's the king. Then you go from him and you look at it and you go, Cardona, Moxley, RSP, back to Gage. And then after that, I don't give a shit who had it because they didn't do nothing with it. And now I have it. And this is my company and my title. And like I said, doing some of these interviews already, I may sound like an asshole. I am. That's how I got to the spot that I'm at.
Okay, so if someone was going to question that and say, what do you mean by they did nothing with the title because Blake Christian had 40 plus defenses, what's your answer to that?
Name 5 of them. I said it to Sean Rouse Sappy when me and him were talking, and he couldn't name any of them.
So are you then saying that it's like, it's not about like the number of title matches, it's more in a sense, like what are you going to do to make it more memorable?
Well, instantly, as soon as I won it, the internet blew up. It was the most tweets I've seen for GCW in a while, and we're a hell of a company, and there's always tweets. There's always talk about what's going on. I can't even say, there was a point where I would go, GCW is the top independent pro wrestling company. But I think we've got to the point where when people are talking about AEW, WWE, TNA, they always mention GCW. They don't go, well, that's independent. GCW is like the modern day ECW. So going back to what I was saying earlier, where I ain't shitting on people, but I always look at it this way. The title don't make a person. The person makes a title. So whatever you do with that title, that belt, means something. If you get it and you don't cut no promos and your matches are just random matches that come and go and no one gives a damn about it, that's all you. That ain't on the company. It ain't on booking. It ain't on anything else. And like you said earlier, I used to be the good guy that I never tooted my own horn. I just showed up and did whatever I had to do and recognized what my spot was that day. And now I recognize I'm at the top of the ladder and ain't no one going to take me off of that. It makes sense, or I sound like a crazy man?
No, it does make sense. I was thinking, do you think that, because there's been a lot of people online tweet, and like I even say it, and Brett always jokes about it, Matt talks about it, the sports entertainment era of GCW, right?
Yeah.
What do you think that means?
I think it means you can sit down and watch the product and you're entertained the whole time.
Right.
Now there's still going to be people that want to, they throw the term around, well, I'm an indie worker. That's dumb as shit to me. Mm-hmm. When you break into pro wrestling, you want to be a professional wrestler who makes money. And if you go around saying you're an indie worker, that carries a whole lot of baggage with it. People like to throw out the term of, well, I remember when Punk went to WWE. And then he blew up and he did that documentary and they talked about him. And everyone they interviewed sat there and said, how's he going to be? Is he going to be a TV guy or an indie guy? Last time I checked, I ain't no indie guy. You look at me and you know that I'm going to go out there, cause a bunch of mayhem, and I'm going to do what you paid to see, and I'm a professional wrestler. So the sports entertainment era, you see people arguing about it. I'd say 90% of people love it because now you have storylines and you have characters and you have a reason to be emotionally involved in it. God, I sound like I'm kind of smart talking on here. Surprise, surprise. But it's all about promos and storylines and a reason to buy a ticket. Back in the day, people bought tickets to see flips and arm bars. If 80% of the people on every show does the same shit, why the fuck would I want to go to the next one? And I think every GCW show now, at the end of it, you sit there like you're watching Nitro or Raw and SmackDown or Thunder or Impact or TNA back in, whatever it is, and you sit there and you go, I want to see what happens next. And I think that, to me, is sports entertainment. What happens next? Not just 7 stars, arm bars, no one sold.
I think also from a production standpoint, I think it's added a lot to the shows, even with like the random like backstage segments and one shot. Like, I know it was ages ago, but was it Charles Mason and who was he with? You know who I'm talking about?
I don't know.
No. I can't remember his name. Anyways, they had remember that promo? We were in the background of it. We were making out. Do you know what I mean? The one shot. It was
Holiday and Mason were fighting.
Richard Holiday, yes. It was like a one-shot promo. That was like a cool thing that I think maybe they hadn't done before, and now...
Yeah, they had never done it there.
Yeah, even at... on the weekend, where were we? AC... I was watching the show and there was like a wide angle shot of the venue like you would see on TV.
They had.
And I went up to Brett and I said, dude, that was so good. And he was like, I knew you'd like it.
It makes the company stand out and it doesn't look like indie wrestling. I saw people talk about the carousel room. You never in the carousel room.
No, I've seen photos.
So that's like a lot of the fans and even me, like I love that place. A lot of good memories. A lot of people that are gone now. That helped build GCW, but there's memories there. And I saw fans talking about it, and they were saying, nothing beats this venue. And I disagree, because that venue's small. Yeah, it looks cool, but it's small. You can only have so many people in there. If you had too many people, they'd come in and complain. You can't shoot a lot of stuff. The bathrooms in the back don't work. The showers don't work. It's not a good venue for wrestling. You got one shot, and it's going to look like this. Right. That's all you're going to see. The new venue that we're at, it's big. I mean, y'all
there's more people there every time we go there. Like, how many was the count that you heard from last weekend?
So this is how it usually works. Every year that there's been TOS, everyone shows up to see the deathmatch tournament, and then the next day it's always been someone is going to have a title match off of that tournament. Usually the second day. So let's say if there's 700, 800 people the first day.
Which, even if anything around 700 to 800 for an independent wrestling show is insane.
So on the first day of the tournament, everyone shows up on Saturday. And let's say there's 700, 800 people. In the past, on Sunday, when you got the big title match, which should be, this is a big goddamn deal, it's a world title match. Usually that Sunday show, that usually starts at 5, so people get there at 3:30, whatever it may be, meet and greets. That attendance is usually 350, 400 people. This year, everyone showed up for the tournament, and then the next day we had, I think it was 800 people there to see me and Effie beat the hell out of each other in the Cage of Survival. And then at the end of the event, I cashed in and won the world title. So when people want to talk about, well, sports, this is GCW, it should be this, should be that. Look at the numbers. Look at the pay-per-view buy rates. Look at the merch going in and out. A couple promos does a whole lot of goddamn work, if you're asking me.
Well, promo stands for promotional. And yeah. I think that's something that a lot of people forget.
And I think we're pretty damn good at it. Thank you, GM Cardona.
Yeah, no, I think it's like an exciting... I mean, look, we're sitting here as two people who... enjoy to watch that style of wrestling, but also that's probably our strength. So I'm sure other people, depending on what they enjoy and what their strengths are, probably have different opinions. But for me, like when I got released from WWE, I was so scared to come to the indies because I knew the kinds of matches that people were having on the indies, and I was just like, I am not that kind of wrestler, and I never will be. Like, I've never been that, like, real indie fuckfest. Like, I just don't enjoy watching it. And I'm not, like, I can do the moves if I need to. Like, I can hang in that kind of match if, I need to. But I'm like, I want to just get booed or cheered and, like, cut a promo and entertain the crowd. And that's the other thing, too, is, like, when I got... released from WWE, I spoke to a lot of different people, like people high up in certain companies of like, what should I work on? You know, what do I need to do? Like, I got fired. I got told, go and do the Drew McIntyre for, you know, X amount of time and then come back. And so I messaged Drew McIntyre and I was like, hey, I got told to do what you did. What did you do? Like, tell me everything. And he just sent me like the most incredible advice. And I always just refer back to that. And so much of it is about presence and the creating the idea of like, even if you're, you know, just like creating the look of a superstar and holding yourself in that way. And also the most important thing he told me was like, every single show, get the microphone, like every single show, speak every single show. And even speaking to Matt Cardona, Matt is like, he even said to me, like, I don't think I even got comfortable with promos until I was on the indies, because in WWE and AEW, and TNA to a degree, like there's only so much time on television. So not everyone is going to get the opportunity to practice promos. So now I could come to the indies and have a little bit more, you know, status to my name, that pretty much every time I ask a promoter, hey, I want to speak, I want to cut a promo, I've had to argue with a few of them, but I say, okay, I'll wrestle for a minute less. Let me speak for 1 minute. Let me wrestle for a minute less, because that is going to get more of a connection with the audience than 1 minute of wrestling would. And now I'm also getting practice on the microphone. So when I do go back to TV, I can go, hey, look, I can wrestle, but I can also speak. And a lot of motherfuckers can't speak. And I know that's what you guys need. Like that was feedback that I've been given from literally every single person from WWE or AEW or TNA that I have spoken to over the last 2 years. They all emphasize how important it is to be able to speak and to be able to act. They literally say, we can teach anyone to wrestle. We don't care about that. Can you talk? Are you entertaining? Are you charismatic? XYZ. So, I mean, obviously, like the in-ring, you know, like at some point the bell rings, you also need to be good at wrestling. Like you need to be able to wrestle and put on a match and it be entertaining and whatever else. But I also don't think that there is, I think if every single person has the same style and does the same moves and moves at the same pace and has the same cadence and all of that, I think it would be a very boring show. I don't want to watch The Undertaker wrestle like Rey Mysterio. I want The Undertaker to be The Undertaker.
This is going to be a fun episode because I'm going to pull the curtain back a little bit more going off of what you said.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes, 100%. So for me, I've been doing this 7.5, maybe 8 years. I got to look. I don't know off the top of my head, but right around there. My problem has been from the time I broke in, every single person who, I don't even say mentor because you don't find a lot of that. There's very few people that you find that can steer you in the right direction, and it's not their direction. You know, if that makes any sense. Like there's a lot of people that will give you guidance, but it's
like a motivation behind it kind of thing.
Yeah, it's like do this and don't do that because that is going to take my spot.
Because I have heat with this promoter, or I have this, and it's like politics that doesn't help you.
So for me, when I broke in, I wanted to be the wrestler that I liked watching as a kid. That's 80s and 90s wrestling. I watched everything, but I got out of it once it became, and I can't even say get out of it because I still watch everything. But my favorites were, you're watching Nitro or Raw. The show starts with a promo, and now you know everything that may or may not happen. And then later you get another promo. Then you get a match, and that match builds to something else. The way that I like to wrestle and fight, because I fight, I don't do matches. But the way that I do it is different than what's on the indies. So from the time I started, every single person told me, you need more moves. You need to no-sell this. You need to do strike exchange. You need this, this, and this. And that ain't my shit. As soon as I see that, I ain't into it. So for me, it's been a constant battle of this is what the indies are. And I disagree. And I think right now a lot of it's changing, especially when, you know, GCW's going, this is sports entertainment era. Some fans go, we don't want to see that. Well, newsflash.
You do, actually, because WWE has the highest ratings of everyone.
And my next thing I'm going to throw in there is most wrestling fans love everything in wrestling. just like me, just like you. We love professional wrestling. That's why we do it. This is why we do every single day. We're doing something that has to do with pro wrestling, and we get paid well for it because we do all that work. Here's the kicker. When the indie crowd thinks we want to see this, you got into wrestling because you, depending on your age group, you either loved Hulk Hogan, Randy Savage, the Road Warriors, Ric Flair, Arn Anderson, you love WCW or WWF. And then if you're in the next age group, you love the Attitude Era, Austin, Rock, Bret, Triple H, Mankind. If you're in the next group, you loved Edge, Rey Mysterio, Kurt Angle, Brock Lesnar, insert any of the names. If you got into it just now, you love Edge, Roman Reigns, the Bloodline, Cody Rhodes, whatever it may be. But in your head, you are a professional TV wrestling fan. So when you see anything that reminds you of what you broke into, you're more into that. If you see the same shit every single match, you may clap and get on the internet and put it over. But there's a difference between that versus I hate this motherfucker and I want this motherfucker to beat the shit out of him. That's 80s wrestling. That's 70s wrestling. That's 60s wrestling. That's 1930s wrestling. Am I pulling the curtain back too much?
No, not at all. I was going to say, there obviously is still that hardcore fan base that does want they still want to see indie fuckfest style kind of wrestling. You know what I mean? And that's good. I know a lot of people like enjoy that stuff, and I think they're incredibly talented. Like, I couldn't wrestle like that. So I think people that do wrestle like that are very, very talented. As I said, I think there's that strong fan base, right? And it's the same as like there's a strong deathmatch wrestling fan base, which I personally don't understand because I hate death matches. But other people like it, and there's a fan base for that. But I think the difference is with GCW, right? I would say we have majority of the deathmatch fan base, right? There's not a whole bunch of people who don't already know about us and love us. And if they don't love us, they at least know about us, right? And I feel like that's kind of the same with indie wrestling fans. If you're an indie wrestling fan, you're coming to GCW. We already have you. What we're trying to get is the girl who got dragged along on a date with a guy she just started seeing, and he really wants to go to the wrestling because he's a fan, but she doesn't really want to fucking go, right? But then by halfway through the show, she's coming up to me at the merch table going, oh my God, I've never been to a wrestling show before. Like, I don't know what the fuck was going on, but like, oh my God, you're so cool. Your outfit is so cool. Like, I love when you told the fans to fuck off and blah, blah, blah. Like, you're just so cool. Can I buy one of your lipsticks? And I'm like, that's the fan that we're trying to trap. We're not trying to get the GCW diehard fan because we already have them. We're trying to convert the people that are getting dragged along, the people that see a GCW poster and maybe they're a fan of someone because they've transcended. Maybe and this is something that a lot of people don't want to admit, maybe they're a Zack Ryder fan and they want to see Zack Ryder again, because I see a lot of people come up to the table going, I haven't been to a wrestling show for years, but I used to watch you on TV. And I think that's where there is value in people like Matt. And I think it's to be, you know what I mean?
Well,
like, I don't
I'll
think
go further.
that's a
There's
bad
value
thing.
in, because I remember when.
I mean, there's a million values in that.
No, I
but
get
do you know
what
what I'm saying?
But it just kind of opened up something I was going to, this may be a two-parter, because I'm the champ now, and ain't no one going to suspend me from the show, so I can kind of say whatever the fuck I want. And that's kind of helped me in this kind of, we talked about this before, once I realized I know what I am, and I'm going to voice my opinion on shit. When Matt came in, I remember people bitching. Not so much fans, but people in the back bitching. We built this. Don't you think it's kind of good to have fucking Zack Ryder at GCW? How many more people are going to be watching now? So you can either be stuck in your way, or you can realize, hey,
it's
man,
good business.
There's a whole lot of casual fans, and people go, there ain't casual fans. I don't know. I'm watching that WCW thing, and last time I looked at the ratings, back then when WCW was the shits, it was drawing 3 million people, and Raw had 6 million. I ain't great at math, but that's 6, 7, 8, 9 million motherfuckers watching wrestling. So anything that brings people in, probably a good idea in pro wrestling.
Well, I think it's like, okay, and let's look at WWE. WWE is always doing like that's why they love people like Logan Paul, because they're bringing in a completely different audience, and AEW does that with certain people that they bring in. TNA does that with like every big company that's trying to build is wanting to bring someone like Sexy Red on NXT 2 weeks ago. Everyone lost their minds. Like there is so much value in bringing in someone who has a giant fan base with something else and showcasing it to your audience. Like that it's literally like collaborating on Instagram. You see, my audience sees your shit, your audience sees my shit. We both get more fans. Like I think it's like 101. So that's why I think when someone like Nick Nemeth comes in, it's good for business. Like when, and I'm not saying that for every single person that's been on TV that's coming to GCW, but I'm saying when there's legitimate TV superstars who get released from WWE and the first phone call they make is, I need to get into GCW, which I know what that feels like. I was the same fucking person. The second I got fired, I spoke to my manager and I said, I need to get into GCW. And I tried for 6 months and he fucking ignored me. So everyone knows GCW is the place to be. And I think to be leading that is a cool spot to be in.
Well, the thing too with GCW is there's a core roster of people. Like in my promos, I say it all the time. I helped build this fucking place. And I mean it. So if there's people that come in, they could do whatever they want to do. But then there's people here. And I want wrestling to be like in 97, 98. You got to fight for that spot. I say it all the time. I love it. I want motherfuckers to have a little bit of heat with me because I want all the spots. I want all the money. That's how it should be. I ain't saying I'm going to go around and beat the shit out of people. Maybe. But competition is good. People come in. You got to fight more. I mean, that's the whole story of me winning this title.
Yeah.
I looked at what's my goal and how do I get there.
Mm-hmm.
I turned my back on everyone. I got me a new family. What got knocked down back there? The cat's getting wild.
It's Helen digging. Helen wants dinner. It's not time.
But I think this episode here is good to kind of pull the curtain back a little bit and break down something.
Well, we never do this. But...
And like I was saying earlier, it sounds like, because I don't want fans to think I'm saying or she's saying, it's going to be this way. That's not what I'm saying. There's a lot of fans that have seen me around for years, and they wanted me to get the title because they know what I bring to the table, and they know that a guy like me is going to be a prick and be a piece of shit, but I'm going to give you what you want. I'm going to give you 80s wrestling. I'm going to give you strong style. I'm going to do every little bit of everything that I like to do in one package. And on top of that, there's going to be promos and a reason for it. And you're invested in it. So I saw some fans complaining about certain...
I think this is a two-parter.
Yeah, and like I said, I saw some fans complaining about stuff. But nobody complained when Old Master cashed in because they knew let's be honest, I'm the backbone of this company. And I'm going to take this title back where it deserves to be. Let me hold it up. This ain't the mid-card title no more. This ain't bullshit. I want to wrestle this guy that no one's heard of. I'm going to bring him in and wrestle for 35 fucking minutes. I'm going to beat the fuck out of everyone in this company, keep this title. I'm going to do all the press, all the goddamn things that people should have been doing a long time ago with this because it means something when you have this. I'll always say GCW is like the modern day ECW. This is on my back. I am the backbone. Yes, I'm a piece of shit. I don't need no friends. I got Steph, I got Matt, and I got Jimmy. He's all right. That's all I need.
Insane. You're insane. I love it. Guys, that brings us to the end of the episode. With love from the GCW World Heavyweight Champion and the Deathmatch Queen, Steph Delander.
My baby.
Oh my God, Helen versus Denver. I
got worked up when I was cutting the promo.
Helen versus Denver. All right, guys, you know what? Follow me on Instagram and Twitter and TikTok at Steph Delander. Follow him at Mance Warner. If you enjoyed this episode, like, comment, and subscribe. Do you like this hat? You can get it at StephDelanderStore.com. Until next time, that's cool.
Love ya.